Good morning, everybody. It's Minister Ray, and welcome to S.L.A.M in a Snap. Yes, I am so glad that you all decided to tune in virtually once again. Listen, we are still in our life lesson series, and while we're learning, we are learning about all kinds of life lessons. That's kind of the point of the series. And so now we are going to learn about the power of forgiveness. Yes, there is power in forgiveness. And now we have three, okay, three, not six. So we have three of our amazing oak seeds, and they are going to bless us with an amazing life lesson. They're going to teach us S.L.A.M in a Snap, and they're going to teach us from Genesis chapter 50, and they'll start at verse 15. Now, this is a wonderful lesson for all of us to learn, no matter how young you are or no matter how old you are. The power of forgiveness is something that we must all go through. And Joseph, yes, that's what we're talking about. We are talking about Joseph in the book of Genesis, and he went through a lot. But one of the main things he taught us was that it is important to reconcile your differences. Ooh, yes, reconcile. That's the word of the day, everybody. Reconcile. So now, reconcile is our wonderful word of the day.
Reconcile. R-E-C-O-N-C-I-L-E. Reconcile. It is a verb and it means to restore friendly relations between. Reconcile. And that's the word of the day for S.L.A.M in a Snap.
Yes, I will use the word reconcile and variations. So you'll hear it throughout my lesson. And make sure, because I'm not going to tell you what it means. So make sure that you pay attention, use your context clues, and put it all together. So by the end of the lesson, you should really know what reconcile means. So, Cobbins, please take us to the Word of God as you teach us the power of forgiveness.
The power of forgiveness. Brought to you by the Cobbin family.
Good morning, S.L.A.M students. This lesson is about the power of forgiveness.
From Genesis chapter 50, verses 15 through 25.
What's up, kid? You look a little angry.
Yeah, I'm not too happy right now.
What, do you want to talk about it?
Last night, Drew came over to my house to play on my new PlayStation console, and she scratched it all up, and now it doesn't work anymore.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I don't think Drew meant it. She's only 5.
Yeah, Kayla, I didn't mean it. I'm only 5.
Well, she did say she was sorry and that it was an accident, but I just can't forgive her. She's always breaking my toys and all my games. Yours too. It was my favorite game, Minecraft.
You know, this is reminding me of a story in the Bible.
Minecraft's reminding you of a story in the Bible?
No, the forgiveness part.
Oh.
This story was about a man named Joseph who was very special in his father's eyes.
What made Joseph so special?
Yeah, Caitlin, what made him so special?
He was one of the 12 sons of Jacob. Jacob loved his son Joseph so much, he even made a very special coat for him with many colors.
It must have been nice and comfy.
It was. And Joseph loved his coat very much, but his 11 brothers were very jealous that they didn't get a comfy coat.
So what did they do?
They did something very cruel. First, they decided to dig a deep hole and leave him in there until he dies. But then they decided to sell him to a servant traveling to Egypt.
I bet Jessie was really angry.
He was at first, just like you were about your game, but he also loved God.
Okay, so what happened?
Yeah. What happened, Caitlin?
Joseph made his home in Egypt and soon became a very important person there. One day, God told him in a dream that there would be a great famine in the land. Do you know what a famine is?
Yes, I think it's when there's nothing to eat. I think it's called a famine, Caitlin.
Oh yeah, it is. You know your facts. Wow. That's right. And this famine was going to last for 7 years.
7 years, that's a lot. They probably starved to death.
Yes, but Pharaoh was no dummy. He let Joseph get ready for the famine by storing large amounts of food to eat later. Finally, the famine came, and Joseph's brothers ran out of food.
So they tried to get some food from Joseph?
Yes, they did.
But he was still angry at them and wouldn't give them any. Get away, he said. Starve to death. Go.
Hold on, Kaylin. Don't be so angry. That's not what happened. He forgave them and shared the food because he realized that God had planned the whole thing. Because of his brothers, Joseph went to Egypt and was able to save all of them from starving to death.
I guess Joseph did the right thing by forgiving his brothers. I better forgive Drew too. Maybe then God will help me when I'm survival Minecraft game.
Well, it's not quite what I meant, but I guess that's going to work for now. It's a good start to forgive Drew.
Yeah, she is our best little sister.
And you're my best big brother and best big sister.
So today, can you try to forgive someone who have hurt you in the past?
Yes, we will.
Bye.
They did an amazing job. Yes, the baby was reading. They are into it. I mean, they even had to teach each other how to forgive each other. So they were able to reconcile their differences, and they were able to be amiable and be kind to one another, even though the baby didn't mean to hurt anybody, and they love each other. See, reconcile means that you are able to come together even after you've had a grievance or an issue with the other person. And so now let's dive into the Word of God as we learn how Joseph teaches us the power of forgiveness. Now, I got to give you a little bit of highlights. The Genesis narrative of Joseph is very long, so I'm just going to give you the expedient version of it, okay? So we'll move expeditiously as we journey into the Word of God in Genesis so we can understand a little bit about who Joseph is. So now, let's take it from the top. So, Joseph was the son of Rachel. Rachel was Jacob's love. Like, he literally worked 14 years for her love, right? He was set up by Laban. That's a whole nother issue. We'll talk about that later. So, Jacob loved Rachel. Rachel couldn't have kids, but when she finally did, she had Joseph. And when she had Joseph, Jacob loved him so much that he gave him a coat of many colors. Back then, that was not very common. But Jacob loved Joseph so much that he favored him. And it made all of his other brothers very jealous. They create the 12 tribes of Israel. Yes, that's where we get that from. So now the brothers got jealous and they went off into the wilderness. And they did some very mean things. What was that? Child, they set him up. They put him in a pit. They sold him off into slavery. Then Joseph ended up going from being sold off into slavery. Then he was in the pit, and then he ended up in prison, and he didn't even do anything wrong. Listen, false imprisonment has been happening since the dawn of time, okay? Justice. God is all about it. So, now, not only did he receive injustice from his own brothers, but then he turned around, God favored him while he was in prison, gave him the gift of seeing visions and dreams and interpreting them, and then he ended up helping someone. They remembered him when they made it out of prison, and then he was moved up to the palace. So now, he went through all of these things. He was separated from his family. His father thought he was dead all those years because his brothers were not honest. And then he turned around and God raised him up to save an entire nation. And that put him at one of the highest positions under Pharaoh. Pharaoh, aka the king, aka the head honcho in charge. And so now we move forward to years later, and now his brothers are like, oh, our father passed away. Our brother is in charge. He's going to have us killed or something, like really, really bad. So now, that's the highlights and the reels. So now, Joseph, who was a man that God really loved and favored, even in the hard times, teaches us about reconciling or reconciliation. And so now, one of the wonderful things about reconciling is somebody has to be open and humble. So let's see what the word of God says. After Jacob died, Joseph's brothers said, what if Joseph is still angry with us? We did many wrong things to him. What if he plans to pay us back? So they sent a message to Joseph that said, your father gave this command before he died. Side eye. He said to us, you have done wrong and have sinned and done evil to Joseph. Tell Joseph to forgive you. His brothers. So now, Joseph, we beg you to forgive our wrong. We are the servants of the God of your father. When Joseph received this message, he wept. Now, his brothers went to him and bowed low before him and said, we are your slaves. Then Joseph said to them, don't be afraid. Can I do what only God can do? Listen, I told you about that humble part. You meant to hurt me, but God turned your evil into good to save the lives of many people, which is being done. Now, I can keep going, but I'll stop right there because that is a lot of golden nuggets. Number one, be humble. See, Joseph is in a powerful position. He can literally pay his brothers back. He can literally do whatever he wants. But Joseph did something. The first thing he did was weep. He wept. See, mourning comes as a result of a lot of the things and the pain that you have held on to. But Joseph didn't hold on to the pain. He was ready to reconcile with his brothers. And he was ready to reconcile with his brothers by being humble. He made sure that he had a humble heart. Well, now, how was he humble? Okay, I'll tell you how he was humble. He was humble because he immediately recognized that he was not God. See, Joseph recognized and he understood that in order for me to be able to come into a reconciliation with my brothers or an amicable resolve, I have to make sure that I am under the honor of God. See, he wanted to raise God up, not be raised up as God. And so in the process of this, he made sure that he expressed that God is the one, not me. So in being humble, he was able to be open to love his brothers and forgive them. See, forgiveness came as a humbling experience. Now, he could have easily remembered and recalled all the bad things that happened to him over the years. But if you go to Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 13, it'll teach you all about love. And one of the things that it says is, love keeps no record of wrongs. So inevitably, even though Corinthians was written a long time after, because that was in the New Testament and we're still in the Old Testament, the lesson proves strong today, even in Genesis, that love keeps no record of wrongs. So what does that mean? Well, that means that if someone does something really mean or really bad to you, that you don't remember all the bad things. See, even Jesus tells us in the New Testament that you can cast your cares upon the Lord and he will sustain you. He will not allow the righteous to fall. That means those who are faithful. But it also means that you can take whatever it is that's bothering you to God. See, Jesus also wants you to understand that whenever you give all your cares and all your concerns to him, that he will take those in, and even if it's sinful, he'll forget them. So one of the things that you want to make sure that you do when you are going through a humbling experience and you have to forgive, when you're in the process of reconciliation or reconciling, you have to make sure that you put on love. See, love conquers all. Have you ever heard somebody say that? Well, love conquers all. And in the process of forgiving someone, you have to make love stronger than hate. Joseph even told his brothers, what you meant for evil, God turned it around so that I could be a blessing to many people. So Joseph's perspective was everything. I told you before in previous lessons, your perspective of a situation can change the outcome. So Joseph's perspective was about God being honored and seeing how God was using him to bless other people. And not just a couple of people, but an entire nation. So while sometimes people do mean things to you with evil or malicious intent. Ooh, I like that one. We're going to have to use that one in another lesson. God can still turn their evil deeds or their malicious intent to your favor. And it'll benefit not just you, but other people. See, the power of forgiveness here is about love, it's about reconciliation, and it's about being a blessing to other people. See, Joseph learned throughout all of his life lessons that being a blessing to others inevitably glorifies God and will bring more blessings to you. See, remember when I told you he was in prison and he interpreted the dreams? He was a blessing to someone else and they remembered him. And he was blessed and favored and put in a high position. And then when Joseph was in the high position, he blessed other people and it saved an entire nation. So now he's in a position where he has to forgive others so that he can be a blessing to them, so that God can be glorified and that their whole family can be blessed. So it's all about being a blessing to be blessed, but it's about reconciliation and reconciling so that you can forgive people and love with your whole heart. So no matter what you get from this, just remember, humility and the power of forgiveness are all in love. So I hope that this lesson helps you to reconcile with someone, even if they've done you wrong. Remember, don't keep records of their wrong, because love doesn't keep any records of wrong. So you have to forgive people. And sometimes that means having a very hard conversation. See, Joseph had to have a hard conversation with his brothers. But in the process of him having that hard conversation, they were able to come together and reconcile their differences in love. Well, that was Slam and a Snap, everybody. And I hope that you all enjoyed our lesson. Cobbin kids, yay! You all did amazing. And I am so glad to see you all. Everybody did a great job. You all are amazing. So thank you so much for sharing your gifts and talents with us. And I hope that you all do it again soon. So listen, would you like to join our ministry? Would you like to teach Slam and a Snap? I hope you do. And if you do, if you would like to join our ministry, please type join below and someone will reach out to you. And if you would like to commit your life to Christ, because God is love, then please type commit and we'll make sure that we reach out to you as well. Listen, we have what are called the ABCs of salvation. And A means that you admit that Jesus Christ is the Son of the living God. B, you believe with your whole heart. And then C, you confess it with your mouth and you are saved. Now, while we do this confession, it's also important that you are baptized because we know that our baptism is an alignment. It's an outward appearance of our internal change and relationship with God. So if you would like to get baptized, make sure you reach out to us and we'll definitely get you baptized. Listen, I love you all dearly. Thank you all so much for tuning in and joining us for S.L.A.M in a Snap. And make sure that you reconcile your differences because there is power in forgiveness. God bless you.